Good morning, guys. It's Monday and beginning of the new work week, and I am here in First Corinthians, the end of chapter 16, verse number 58 says, "So, my dear brothers and sisters, be strong and immovable. Always work enthusiastically for the Lord, for you know that nothing you do for the Lord is ever useless." Just before this, he was talking about the fact that when we do work for God, eventually we are going to be rewarded in the afterlife. And our reward is sure down here and in the afterlife. And so he goes on and he says, always be strong and immovable. In other words, there are going to be things that are going to shift you. For those of you who regularly listen, you realize there are a couple of days that I wasn't here. My body, my entire family, was just some kind of infection, some kind of fluish story, and just feeling that you're sick in the body, and you can't do the things that you want to do. And as soon as I'm better, I'm like, you know what, I miss doing this. This is something that I love to do. This is something that I believe is benefiting me as well as other persons. And so in spite of whatever, it's not like, what, I'm gonna shut up shop and that's it. There's a lots of testing and trials and things that are not always the way they should be. But they say be strong. It means that there's always going to have to be a test. The way you know whether or not something is strong is if it's tested. If you have a piece of stick and you want to know if it's strong, and you got to try to push, force and so on against it to see if it's going to bend, if it's going to break. And our strength is usually revealed in the things that come to test us and try us. Sometimes it tests your very faith. The very foundation of your faith is shaken by some of the trials and testings and experiences that life sometimes just throw at us. But we got to be able to be strong, be unmovable, regardless. Whenever the whole scenario is done, whenever the situation is removed, whenever the situation calms down, you must still be standing. Your faith and your strength and your belief in God must still remain standing strong, unmovable. When bad things happen, when things happen that are completely out of our control, you know, something happened recently to me, and I had to stop and say to myself, am I going to let something bad happening to me make me forget the goodness of God, who God is, and His goodness? You know, am I going to let this trial, this test, knock me off my feet and stop believing that God is God? No, nothing takes Him by surprise. And all I have to do is just ask Him for the strength to remain strong. Not in my own strength. In my own strength, I simply just buckle over. But in His strength, I can remain. I can remain unmovable. I cannot let it move me. Not let it thwart who He created me to be. And that's my encouragement as we go into this week. Regardless of whatever comes at us, it's not easy. I know it's not easy, because sometimes you get a real strong one, but you gotta remember that, hey, at the end of it, I know and I understand that God is still God and He's still in control, and the outcome may not be how I want it to be, but everything God is able to use. Always abound in His work. Continue to do what you got to do for Him. Continue to do what you got to do to take yourself to that destiny, because at the end, whatever you do for God is never useless. He uses it. He takes it and He uses it, and He touched lives and He changed lives, and He makes this whole thing, there's patterns, and every little part comes together and makes a beautiful landscape of what He's building in your life and around you. So that's my encouragement. Remain strong, remain unmovable. Don't let it move you. And always abound in His work, because nothing you do for Him is useless. He's going to repay, all right? Have a wonderful day. Remember, God loves you and I do too. Be blessed.